So in this video we'll be talking all about how to create your image sheet files. So if you open up the image sheet files folder in your download, you'll see that there are all of these numbered files that are essentially placeholder grids. So you can see they're all just grayed out squares right now, but what they will become is a really neat feature that saves you a ton of time as you're developing your print templates. So if you open up your Style Guide Templates folder, your Customized Files folder, I'll go ahead and use the magazine version and a full spread page. I wanted to start with the first page here. And you can see when you open that in Photoshop that it's actually referencing one of those image sheet files. So it's basically one image, and it's its own layer here. So you can see it, if you hide and unhide the layer, that it's by itself. And it's a linked file here, so it knows to update when you change the file as long as you keep it in the same location. Now, if you don't have Lightroom, you won't be able to use this feature, but what you can do instead is hide that layer and then show this Dress Image Blocks option group. And each of these blocks then is its own layer, and what you'll do is you'll go to place all of the images for the files that you're planning to use individually. So just as an example, this isn't an image that I would use here, but you can just see if I place it, what I have to do is size it to the right size and then put it in the proper position and then place it. And then I have to right click and create a clipping mask so that it stays within its proper boundaries, and it's kind of a pain. So it's definitely possible to use the templates without Lightroom, but it will go a lot more quickly if you do use Lightroom. So let me go ahead and remove that and then just hide that group again, because I want to show you how to use the image sheet template files. So what I'll do is go into Lightroom, and of course you've already imported all of the images you plan to use and organized them into collections. So I'm using the collection that is for the dress styles grid. So if you look at the file that I'm talking about in Photoshop, you can see we've got the different categories and the different columns. We've got sexy, flowing, classic, lace, and epic here. You can change those. That text is editable, but that's how I've decided to have mine. And then we've got it going in sparkle, light, dark, and color. Now these are all going to be in order in Lightroom, going from left to right and to each line. So you want to make sure that you have the order arranged the way that you want it. Select all of those files, and then if you go to the print module up at the top of Lightroom here, you can then look over at the template browser here on the left side, and you can see here we've got the Glamour Style Guide Image Sheets category, and that's because we imported that earlier in the last video. So if you haven't seen that already, do so now. And you'll also see that these are all numbered 1 through 6, and that corresponds to the file names that we saw earlier. So right now we're working on the first one, the dress styles grid. We'll select all of those dresses again, and then if you look on the right here and drop down this print job tab, you just want to make sure that the media type that's selected is appropriate to the type of paper that you're planning to have your guide printed on. And if it needs a print adjustment, make that now, and then click Print to File. Now, you do need to make sure that you save it in the same location as the image sheet files folder that we talked about before, and then you're going to use the name here of the image sheet that corresponds to the name of the print template. So we're using this 01 Magazine Dress Styles here, and it will correspond here. So we'll save there and make sure that it's got the correct name here, but you do want to replace it. So say replace. And then if you go into Photoshop, you'll see that Photoshop will update that file. If it doesn't do it automatically, you can go up to the layer menu at the top, select Smart Objects, and go down to where it says Update All Modified Content. When you click that in, it should refresh that image sheet file. Alternatively, you could find that same option here by clicking on that layer of the image sheet, right-clicking there actually, and then updating all modified content from here. Now, I took all of these images myself. If you are sourcing it from somewhere else, you'll want to make sure you give the appropriate image source credit here. And if you are actually using images that you took, you can just hide that layer. And then just make sure you update your web address down here at the bottom, and then save this file, and it should be good to go. Now, if you find that you don't like any of the positioning as far as how the columns are lined up or the text, you can actually either grab the text itself and move it around, or if you want to reposition the dresses, you can just go back into Lightroom, physically pull the dresses over from one side to the other, and once you have that arranged the way that you like, you just need to replace that file. So you click Print to File, make sure you save over the correct file name, and replace it. Now when you go back into Photoshop, it will either automatically update, or you can just right-click on the layer and update all modified content there. Now I'll return to Lightroom, and since I've already got all of these images saved and ready to go, instead of moving on to the neckline styles, I'll just go ahead and make my accordion card version of this same image sheet. So you can see I'll just click Accordion Dress Styles, make sure I have the correct paper selected, make any print adjustments, and then click Print to File, and then of course save over the appropriate file name. Replace the file that's already there, and now I can move on to neckline styles. So I'll open up my neckline styles collection, select all, and make sure to choose the neckline styles image sheet print template. And same thing as usual, check the paper type. When I'm doing magazine format, I like to use glossy, and then print to file. We're working on 03, so we'll select 03, save, replace. And same thing, it's already ready to go, just one click away from using the accordion card format. Make sure I have the proper media type, and I like matte paper for my accordion card, so I'll leave that as is. Print to file, select the appropriate name, and replace. Now the last thing that I want to show you, it's not super intuitive, is how to deal with the sleeve styles image sheet templates. So you'll go into your sleeve styles collection, make sure you select all of those, and now open up your sleeve styles print template. What you'll see is that these are all evenly spaced, but if we were to go back into the file that contains them, you can see that all of the images are supposed to be two types of style to one type of title. So I want there to be a wider margin going down the middle here. So when we go back into Lightroom, what I'll do is actually grab the dresses and scoot them over to the side. So the ones that are on the inside of the margin will go towards the outside of the image, and I'll even do the same thing going the other direction. So I'll pull all of the ones that are towards the outside of the page inward, and now the groups of two will be more obvious that they're paired together. Now I'll just make sure that I have the correct media type selected and print to file. We're working on 05, so we'll save it as 05. Make sure the correct one is saved and click replace. Now we'll do the same thing with the accordion cards, print to file. They're already positioned, so we just have to make sure we select the correct image name, and now they're done. Now when we go into Photoshop and we have that updated, you can see how these are paired together and they look really great being closer to each other like this. The last thing we would have to do is make the appropriate image source credit if needed, and then update the website address, and then we could save this and be done. So I hope that that has been helpful. If you have any questions or to see the very next tutorial video, go ahead and check out my Vimeo channel or go to my website at emilylondonportraits.com.